Sandhill cranes are back in Minnesota. Well, a few of them are. You can find about 400,000 of them in the Central Platte River Valley in Nebraska right now. If you want to see a lot in Minnesota, go to the Sherburne Wildlife Refuge in November, where it's not uncommon to have counts as high as 20,000 preparing to head south. Harlequin ducks are much more rare in Minnesota. You can usually find one wintering somewhere on the North Shore, like the one we've seen in Canal Park on Super Bowl Sunday. Lucas recorded this one on the Mississippi River near Dayton. They are much smaller than a mallard and have striking white patches on their face. Their breeding plumage is really something, but you probably need to go west in summer to look for them in rocky streams to see that. They usually show up in Minnesota November through March, and always as a rarity. This video is mainly a collection of our outings we used to test out our new R7. It took us a little while to learn the best focus and tracking settings for both photo and video. The learning curve with the new camera is pretty steep, but we're excited about the potential it has shown. In mid-March, we got walloped with a pretty good snowstorm and icy roads once again. But the robins and goldfinch seemed to know it wouldn't last for long. Spring always means waterfowl returning. Before the lakes open, the best place to find a smorgasbord of ducks and geese is a flooded farm field. Or in this case, a frozen flooded field. On this rather dreary day, I found 3 drake widgeons hanging out with the geese and mallards. These were the first widgeon sightings of the year. The widgeon's short goose-like bill makes it much better at grazing than other dabblers, which is why you can find them hanging out with geese in fields. Additionally, I spotted a northern pintail and this lone Ross's goose hanging out in this puddle. The similar-looking snow goose is a much more common find, as there are 15 million in North America, compared to only 2 million Ross's goose. But the Ross's goose is smaller with a stubbier bill that lacks the grin patch the snow goose has, and the head is also more rounded. This one was definitely a Ross's goose. Don't worry about the snow geese. They'll be coming through later in this video. A few hardy mourning doves don't migrate, but most do, and I've been seeing them returning everywhere lately. They like to sit on power lines and are about the same size as a kestrel. So how do you tell from far away? They have a mouse, it's a kestrel. Doves are generally peaceful. Here are the snow geese. There was a tiny patch of Pelican Lake that broke open this past weekend, and it was loaded with every kind of goose and duck. When these birds migrate, they spend most of their day in farm fields and then return to water at night for safety from predators. They like shallow lakes like Pelican. It is also a stopover for greater white-fronted geese, which were also present, but too far out for photos. Another mid-March returner is the ring-billed gull. These will be everywhere soon, but for now they sit on the ice at the edge of the water as the lakes start to open. At every wetland this time of year, you can hear the call of the red-winged blackbird from the dead cattails where they perch. They call almost continually, and their courtship displays are in full force. While I love hearing this bird in the spring, I'm reminded of how territorial they are once they start nesting. The last few years, the red-winged blackbirds nested along our pond and have refused to let me mow my lawn. They're constantly dive-bombing my head. It's actually terrifying to get smacked in the head by surprise when you're trying to mow. Speaking of courtship displays, I was able to capture some male hooded mergansers putting in a great effort to impress the females. They raised their crest, literally doubling its size and making their head look super tall and narrow. Then they snapped their head back and let a croaking sound. This sound was unique and easy to hear, but my camera was picking up a little too much wind. Unfortunately, I didn't have my video tracking settings right, and the ducks were far away and dark. So it's a little blurry, but you can still get an idea of the festivities. There was also one common goldeneye who actually had a very similar routine of throwing his head back with bill toward the sky. He seemed to also give a little kick to launch water backwards at the same time, just to make sure to get everyone's attention. After finally figuring things out on the camera to set up a good custom flight mode, I captured some swans flying over and a large flock of red-winged blackbirds leaving upfield. We've also noticed that the crop 4K video helps you really appreciate the iridescent feathers that this mallard was showing off. I haven't seen too many pileated woodpeckers this winter, so it was a treat to find a pair of them checking out potential nesting sites at the Westwood Hills Nature Center in St. Louis Park. Here the female looks into several holes to see if the wood is just right for spending the next 3 to 6 weeks burrowing out deep enough that she can lay her eggs in them. Once she chooses one, there will be some serious excavation going on. They'll work particularly hard on the entrance to make it nice and smooth for going in and out. Pileated woodpeckers mate for life, but since they only use the nesting cavity one time, they are a keystone species, creating new homes for many different birds. Even pine martins sometimes use homes made by pileated woodpeckers. You can tell this one is the female, not just because she's pretty picky about the home. Females have a black mustache instead of red, and a receding hairline where the red crest doesn't extend at the bill and cover their whole forehead. Here comes the male. You can even see his red mustache in flight. Here you can see that his red crest comes right down between the eyes all the way to the tip of the bill. They are the largest North American woodpecker, if you don't count the ivory-billed, which I don't, since it hasn't been seen since 1944. We take pileateds for granted, but I remember talking to one lady in Oregon who had hoped to travel all the way to Minnesota just to see one day. This moonwalking down the tree was probably his effort to follow a trail of carpenter ants to the source. These photos clearly show the male's red mustache. Here is an iPhone video of the pair of them working together to forage for ants. We thought we were getting this with the good camera, but apparently we were shutting it off when we thought we were turning it on. The pileated has a long tongue, which you'll see later. It wraps around the whole skull, acting like a shock absorber. I do like watching the red crest come flying forward from the inertia of each blast. I shot this video with the iPhone, which is surprisingly good, just so I could compare it with the camera in 4K. Here is Lucas recording the exact same thing with the R7. Can you see the bald forehead of the female here? You'll probably never mix them up again. This shot shows them closing their third eyelid with each blow. Hopefully we can return in a few months and find this pair with fledglings. In June, the babies enter the peaking phase, where they spend the whole day with their heads poking out of the hole. A shot like this is one of my 2026 photography goals. For now, we leave you with the pileated with his tongue in a stump.